This conference will now be recorded.
Okay guys, let's get started. That day we had installed, that day we had done the discovery of resources from Active Directory into SCCM. So these are the resources coming from Active Directory. Even though if you delete these resources, it will come back again because the actual source of this is coming from Active Directory. If you go to devices, these are the devices we found in Active Directory, and that's the reason they are coming here. If you create any users or add any computers in Active Directory, for example, I dsa.msc. Okay, so I am going to Active Directory user and computers console, and I'm gonna randomly create couple of, let me create user, for example, new user. So I create user here. Okay, and I'm gonna create one more user. So I created two users, Spider-Man and Superman. Sorry, Spider-Man and Batman. I'm gonna create one group. Where is that one? Security group. Let's say super heroes. So superhero is the group, okay? And in the member, I'm gonna add both of them, Batman, Spider-Man. So I created two user and one group, okay? So if I go back to SCCM and go back to user, that Spider-Man and Superman will come up here after like 5 minutes, because 5 minutes is the polling schedule we have given for the discovery of resources from Active Directory into SCCM. So after 5 minutes, I should be able to see those Spider-Man and Superman and security groups. If you cannot wait for 5 minutes, for example, you want to do it as soon as possible, then you go to administration and then you go to hierarchy configuration discovery method. And let's say I created group, I want to discover that one, right click and run full discovery now. Similarly, I created user, I'll right click and run full discovery now. So this is like a speeding up the process. You will not wait for 5 minutes. It will check Active Directory right away and find out how many changes you have made, and those changes will come here in user section. You see Batman and Spider-Man, and superhero will also be there somewhere in the superheroes. Clear, everyone?
Yeah, clear.
Yes. So this is the discovery of resources from Active Directory into SCCM. Now, suppose you discovered 10,000 devices are discovered. For example, let's assume right now the device count is 6. You see, for example, device count is 10,000 here. And some devices are from Mumbai, some devices are from London, some devices are Chennai, some devices are from Hyderabad. So different location, we have different devices. Now SCCM does not know the location of those devices, so we have to segregate the device by boundary. We have to create boundary of each location. For example, Mumbai boundary, Hyderabad boundary, Chennai boundary. So boundary can be defined based on IP address or based on IP subnet or Active Directory. There are multiple options to define boundary. I'm gonna define boundary based on my IP address range. What is my range? If I type in CMD and IP config, so IP address 10.0.0.6. Okay, so this is IP address of SCCM server. Ping domain, you see IP address of domain is 10.10.0.4. Okay, ping database it is 5. Understood? Ping win10, it is 7. So 4, 5, 6, 7, these are 4 computers, right? So we know that we have only 4 computers, but let's assume that we have like 500 computers or 1000 computers, and we would like to create a boundary for that, right? So you go to administration and go to boundary, and you right click on the boundary and choose create boundary. So since we have only one location, if you have multiple, you have to create multiple boundary. So SCCM lab computers boundary. Either you choose IP subnet to create boundary or IP address. I'm gonna choose IP address. So let's take this one 10.0.0.0. For example, starting from 1, right? 10.0. So for example, there are 250 computers, right? 255. So you give the range, okay? If you have multiple VLANs, let's say 10.0.0.0 VLAN and 10.0.0.1 VLAN, right? So you can give like this. So both of them, both the VLANs are covered into this boundary. Clear, everyone?
Yes.
I'm going to click on apply and okay. So this, we created a boundary and the range starts from 1 to 255. All my computers are covered. You see 005 is covered, 007 is covered, 004 is covered, right? So all my computers are a member of this particular boundary which I have created. Okay. Now this boundary is basically needed to site assign, to define the site. You created boundary, right? But you have to assign a site on that boundary. Understood? So this, the computers which are there in this boundary, let's say there are 200 computers. Where will they go to bring the patches, to bring the content, to get the policy, where which server they will communicate to? We have to give a site on this so that these computers will always talk to that particular site to get the policy and the patches and application. So we have to assign a site on this boundary. For example, I am in Mumbai. I'll go to passport office and if I want my passport, I'll go to Mumbai passport office. If Iqbal is in Bangalore, he needs his passport, he will go to Bangalore passport office. Similarly, the computer will go to the nearby distribution point or nearby site server. So we have to assign a site. So you see, this is the boundary. Now to assign a site, we have to go to boundary group, right click and create boundary group. And let's say SCCM lab computers site assignment. So these 4 computers what we have: database, domain, SCCM and Windows 10, where they will communicate to get the policy and the patches and application. So we have to go to add. These computers belong to this boundaries. I'm going to choose the boundary and references. So this computer will be assigned to this primary site. So all these computers will be assigned to this primary site, and the server add server is this one, sccmps.chris.com. So all these computers which are there in this boundary, 250 computers, they will always communicate to this one to get the policies and patches and application. Clear, everyone? Yep. So apply and okay. So this is called what? Site assignment. So today what we did so far, today is what, 30th, right? 30th March. Topics. First one, create boundary. Second, assign site on the boundary. Okay, so we have performed these two tasks. Now the point number 3 is now we have to install client on all the computers. Suppose you have 4 computers, right? You need to install SCCM client on all these 4 computers. If you have like 10,000 computers, you need to install SCCM client on those 10,000 computers. Then only you can manage those computers. You can send policies, you can send application, you can send patches. If the agent is not there, SCCM client is not installed in the computer, then you cannot do anything on those computers. Clear? So before I install the client on any computer, I need to define the policy. Policy means how the agent, how the client will behave in the computer, what all things it will perform in the computer. So I want hardware inventory, I need software inventory, I need software deployment, I need power management, I need remote control. There are multiple things which you can define, and the client will apply those policies on the computers. Clear? So before we install the client, for example, um, I am sending my child to school. Okay, I'm sending my child to school, so I'll give some instruction. Okay, so don't fight with your fellow student. Whatever the teacher is writing on the blackboard, you pay attention to that. Do your homework. You give certain instruction to your child. Similarly, SCCM server will give certain instruction to SCCM client, and SCCM client will perform in that particular instruction. So to give instruction to SCCM client or policies, you go to administration and then go to client settings. And there is a default client setting. Okay. That means if no other policy is applied on any computer, then by default, this is the last policy which will get applied. So either you modify this one or you can create your custom policy. I'm going to create custom client policy which so you choose custom, this one, and then type in SCCM lab computers. So SCCM client policies for lab computers. So I'm gonna create policies for our lab computers. Okay. Now first one, client policy. Computer agent. Okay. And then computer restart, and then hardware inventory, and then remote tool, then software center, software deployment, software inventory, software meeting, software update and state message.
Power management.
Mhm. Power management is not needed. Wait, I can't. Yeah. User device affinity. Power management. Okay, let's take power management. Okay, now if you want to take this one, client cache setting, you can also take client cache setting. Okay, let's discuss. So whatever I have checked here, they are coming in the list at the left hand side. Now one by one I am gonna modify the setting. Background intelligent transfer service. Now if you would like to you see limit the maximum network bandwidth for bits background transfer. If you would like to limit, so you say yes. And content, let's say content can be transferred between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Suppose in the working hour you want to throttle the bandwidth, only take like 100 kbps. Let's say you have like 1 mbps line, right? But use only 100 kb. Is it is going to limit that bandwidth, depends on you if you would like to do, otherwise it's not needed. Clear?
It's clear.
Give me 1 minute. Okay, so if you would like to limit the content transfer between the working hour, you can do the limit here. Otherwise, it's not needed. Okay. Client cache setting. Client cache is what? On the computer, in every computer, the client has a cache folder. SCCM has a cache folder where the content will get downloaded, patches will get downloaded. Suppose if you send something through SCCM in computer, it is gonna download in that particular location, and by default the content size is 5 gigabyte. Okay, that's the 5 gigabyte, that's the limit. If you would like to increase that one, you can increase that one. Clear? Understood?
Yeah.
I'm gonna increase to 10 gigabyte. So the content cache size will be maximum 10 gigabyte, 10240. Then client policy. That means how often the client will talk to the server. How often the client will communicate to the server to retrieve the policy. Okay. How often? So every like 60 minutes when you have thousands and thousands of computers. Let's say you have 10,000 computers, then it's 60 minutes is okay. But since we have only couple of computers, I'm gonna give 3 minutes. Okay. 3 minutes is very aggressive. You can't keep this in production. Otherwise the server, there will be huge traffic between the server and the client. So always keep like 30 minutes or 60 minutes. Then computer agent. These are the notification time, 48 hours, 4 hours, 15 hours. That's okay. Let's say I would like to display my company name in Software Center. So I'll say Sairam Private Limited. So this will be displayed to the users in Software Center. Okay. Plus, who will be able to install application from Software Center? All user. Okay. Plus, if you send PowerShell execution policy, it will look for all signed PowerShell execution. I mean, the PowerShell has to be digitally signed. Okay, if PowerShell does not have digital signature, then it won't get executed. So rather, I'm gonna choose bypass. That means don't check for signature, just go ahead and execute the policy PowerShell. Otherwise, you will have to wait for that. Clear? Computer restart. Suppose if you are restarting any computer through SCCM, this is the notification will be given to the user. First notification, 90-minute, which is temporary notification. Second notification, 15-minute, which is the permanent notification. The user will have to close all his applications, and then after 15 minutes, the computer will get restarted. So I'm gonna say 10 minutes and 5 minutes. In production, we can't keep 10-minute, 5 minute. We always keep like bigger window so that user has an ample amount of time to close all his open documents. Hardware inventory. Hardware inventory is what? You can define the hardware inventory. So I would like to collect hardware inventory of the computers every 7 days, it is saying. For production, it is fine, but I want to get it as soon as possible. So I'm gonna say every 1 hour. I would like to get the hardware inventory from the devices. Plus in hardware inventory, what all things you want. So I'm gonna click on set classes. Now I want, let's say you want baseboard information, battery related information, BitLocker, boot configuration. Depends. If you want, you can check those boxes. Plus, for example, if you want desktop monitor, you choose desktop monitor, desktop, then disk drive. So I'm checking those things which I need in the hardware inventory. Installed software, logical disk, memory. What else?
Can we take via last reported date?
Hmm?
Last
Last
reported date, like anything is it?
last reported date.
Yeah,
What reported date?
and I mean it is connected last 1 week back, like that
No, no,
in a network.
yeah, so that is not a part of hardware inventory. Hardware inventory is what? I want to know what all hardware present on the computer.
Okay, physical.
Okay. Network login profile is there. Okay, so it will give you, I think, last logon date or something. Let me see. Last log of logon. Probably you can get it from here. Logon server. Okay, so things which are needed, you can check those boxes, and once you are done with your selections here, you click on OK. Plus power management, allow power management to the devices, yes. Allow user to exclude their computers, no. Allow backup, no, not required. So power management, I'll discuss about this thing later on. For now, I'm gonna leave it. Remote tool. Enable remote control on the clients. That means if you would like to remote into users' computers, okay? If you would like to remote into other computers, you can also do that. Configure setting, enable, and the computer which are connected on domain network, private network, public network, and click OK. So you can remote into these computers, okay? where SCCM client is installed. And now you have option here who can take remote permission, who can take remote access. You have to give permission. So set viewers, and let's say browse, and who will SCCM admin. So SCCM admin user will have remote permission on other computers. So this person, this user can take remote control of another system. Okay, so that is done. Then what else? Software center. Now specify these new settings to the company information. Yes. Software center setting, customize, and you can company name. So company name, Sairam Private Limited. Select color. Depends on you what color you want. Let's say you want this color, so you click OK. So it will come like this. And if you would like to give company logo, you can give company logo. It is taking JPG. Okay, so let me just bring JPG file. Internet Explorer sucks. Okay. Company logo. Image. Okay, so I just put it on the desktop. Let me browse. And you have to have the size, exact size. I don't know which size it will take. Let me go to desktop. It is saying the maximum dimension of the image are 400 pixel wide and 100 pixel tall. Okay, 400 and by 100. So this image which I downloaded, you can edit that one, 400 and 100, right? So resize it, pixel, and 400, right, by 100, and save and close. Okay, so the logo will come like this. Clear, everyone?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna click on OK. Then software deployment. So if you deploy any software, how often it will do the evaluation? Every 7 days it is saying. So I'm gonna change it to every 1 hour. For production, we give a longer time, but for lab, we are just giving aggressive time. Software inventory. Software inventory is what? It is basically to find out the files in the computer. So we can say for production, 7 days is okay. Okay. For lab, we are just taking 1 hour, every 1 hour. And inventory, I want to inventory some of the files, let's say set types and yellow icon. So I want all files which has .exe extension, so star.exe. Plus I want all files which has .msi extension, so star.msi. Depends on you, okay, what all extensions you add. It will bring only those, it will uh, scan for only for those files which has .exe extension and msi, and you will get the information of those files present in the computers. Okay, then software metering. So how often it will give you the metering information? Every 7 days it is saying, every 1 hour. Okay, so that I can get the result as quickly as possible. Software updates. So if I would like to do the software patching, how often it will scan the computer? It is saying every 7 days. For production, we keep it like every 1 day, every 1 hour. Okay. Now, if you have deployed any patches, it will take 7 days to give you the status, whether it is installed or failed or what. So rather, I'm gonna say every 1 hour. So I'll get the result as quickly as possible. If you would like to deploy patches on Office 365 agent, you say yes. What else? State messages. How often you would like to receive state messages from the client computers? It is saying every 15 minutes. For production, 15 minutes is okay. I'm gonna give 5 minutes. User device affinity. That means I would like to find out the user's primary device. Okay. So if somebody is using a computer for 2880 minutes in the last 30 days, then he or she will become the primary owner of the device. I'll say if anyone uses a computer for 120 minutes, right, in the last 2 days, then automatically he or she will become the primary owner of the device. Okay, clear or not, guys?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, so this one, SCCM client policies for lab computers, and that is priority number 1. That means this policy is on the highest priority. So this will be applied on the computers. Right click. Now you have to deploy this policy on the computers. So if you would like to deploy this policy, apply this policy on all computers, you right click and choose deploy, and let's say all system. So this policy will get applied on all these 6 computers. Got it? So in deployment, if you go to deployment, you will see that it is already deployed to all system. Understood?
Yeah.
So what we did, we have defined the policy. Later, if you would like to modify, you can modify the policy. So that policy is flexible. You can make changes anytime. Now,
So, Kasif, one question here. So, you said we can deploy these on the machines, the policy. So, let's consider the previous example, what we have done. We have defined a site boundary, wherein right now we have only 4 machines. So, similarly, considering the example where we have 10,000 devices and one particular site holds 1,500 servers. So can we push this policy on to the site itself so that it gets deployed across all 1,500 from here?
No,
Or what would
no,
be the
no.
mechanism?
Policy we give who you give instruction to whom? The child, right? If you are sending your child to school, you give instruction to child. Similarly, SCCM server is giving instruction to SCCM client, which will get installed on the computers. So currently, what the policy what we have defined that is applied on all system, all the computers. If you do not want on all computers, you can create collection. Let's say Mumbai collection, Chennai collection, Hyderabad collection, and then you apply different policy on different collections.
Okay.
Is it
So,
clear?
in real time, is there a scenario where we have different policies for SSM
Yes.
clients? Or
Yes.
okay,
We have different for server we have a different policy. For client we have a different policy. And for sometime what happens, we create different policy for location basis based on the location. Let's say the bandwidth is less in couple of computers in couple of locations. So then we will limit throttle the bandwidth on those locations. So we'll create one policy accordingly and then apply on those device, those collection, those locations computer.
so to simplify this, yes, we have defined a client or maybe an agent, and we have given some sort of permissions what this agent can do on my behalf on the client machine, right? If I send an instruction from SCCM. So if any policy, as you're saying, if we want to uh, deploy on a set of servers or a collection, how we will do that from here? Because I've seen only, I think, users or groups we have. So right now you have deployed on all machines. So if you want to deploy
All
only to
system.
the
So
superheroes group, how you will do that?
no, we create collection in SCCM. We have a collection concept. Okay, so you see device collection. So for example, let me right click and create collection. Okay, I'll show you collection later on, but I'm just creating dummy collections. Let's say all servers. For now, I'm not explaining this collection, but just I'm creating dummy collection. Okay, so in this collection, all servers are there. Let's assume there are 500 servers in this collection. I'm gonna right click and choose, let's say, all Mumbai laptops. Okay, now we have all servers and all Mumbai laptops. Now, if you go back to administration, suppose you have a different policy. Let's say that this is the second policy which I created. You right click on that one and then you choose deploy and you choose all Mumbai laptops. So that policy will apply only on that computers.
But so Kasif, so I'm trying to understand here. So what benefit we are getting when we define the site boundary? Is it just an information which gives me, or I can
Site,
actually
site
use that
boundary is
information?
site boundary is for connection with the server. Site boundary is for the content from the server. It will download the content. Site boundary is for patch deployment. The patching will happen. But the client needs instruction from the server, right? Let's say you
But
get
if
wait. For example, I ask you, let's assume that I ask you that Iqbal, you have to do certain task. So what I have given you the instruction, right? But the
Mhm.
actual thing that when you start working on task, you see that okay, you have to get certain things to perform those tasks. You have to get certain logistic help to get that task done, right? So those logistic will get provided from other means. Similarly, the agent gets the instruction from the server, but the content, let's say I want to install Google Chrome in 10,000 computers. So I have given the instruction to the client that let's install Google Chrome in 10,000 computer, but the Google Chrome file is present on the site servers, that is defined in the boundary. So the computer will get the instruction from here, and from the boundary it gets the information of the content, where the content is located. Clear?
Okay.
Still confused?
Mm, partially it's clear. So what you said, obviously, that makes sense. The instruction is being sent to the client, and client will download all the required files from the site boundary, what we have defined,
Yes.
so that it can deploy. So
From
I'm
the
just
site,
wondering one
based
thing.
on the
So
boundary.
okay, so if for Mumbai location, let's say I have 1,000 servers, Mumbai laptops, you know. So how
Hmm.
I will add those collections if those laptops belongs to different subnets? I
That's
might be
what I
having
showed you.
five subnets, within the Mumbai location. If I have
Hmm.
to browse through all those 1,000 laptops which are available within my SCCM, a dictionary that belongs to those five subnets. So right now we have selected all.
Hmm.
If I have 10,000, out of which only 1,000 belongs to those five
Yeah.
subnets in Mumbai location.
So you can create a collection according to that. For example, you want only 5 subnets, right, for Mumbai. So you click on this membership rule and you add those subnet, like you go to query rule, which I'll show you later on. I'm not showing now because collection is like another session. You go to criteria and then you choose subnet here. That is system resource.
No, that's fine. We can keep the question apart, maybe for a later session.
You
But I
see,
want to know.
wait, wait,
Oh,
wait, wait.
yeah.
You keep the subnet here. So all your subnet will be listed down here. So suppose you want only 5 subnet, you take those 5 subnets. Okay. So this collection will have only those computers which belong to those 5 subnets. Okay. And then you can apply that policy on that one. Boundary is for the content and software updates and for the connection with the server. That is the reason we define boundary. Okay. So
So boundaries are
let's
only
say
for the clients, from where you have to download the softwares or applications, right?
yes.
Okay.
Suppose I give you instruction, get 10,000 rupees cash. Okay. What will
Okay.
you do? You will look for your nearby
ATM.
ATM.
Yeah.
So nearby ATM is your site assignment.
Yeah.
And in instruction, what I have given is the policy which I have defined in the client, the one which
Okay.
I showed you just now, the
Yeah.
client
Yeah.
policy.
Okay.
So instruction will be given by the server, but the client will always check the boundary to find out where should I go to get that thing done.
Okay.
So this collection I'll show you later on, and then your
Yeah.
concept will get more clear. Okay. Now, so I created one policy, and this policy is applied on all the devices. As you see in the deployment, I deployed it to all systems. So the hardware scanning will happen every 1 hour. Software inventory will happen every 1 hour. Software scan, software update will happen every 1 hour. Software metering, software deployment, power management, those things which we have defined. We have given 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes, the computers will communicate with the server to find out if any new policy is available or not on the server. If any policies are there, it will apply that policy. So every 3 minutes, the client will communicate to the server. That is the policy we have given. So client Policy is done, right? Now we have to install the client on all the computers. Okay, suppose you have given instruction to your child, but now you are sending your child to the school. Okay, you are sending your child to school, so that the instruction what you have given to child, he will apply those instruction in a school. Okay, now, so we have how many computers? We have 4 computers. You see, database, domain, SCCM, PS, and Windows 10. These are 4 computers, and SCCM client is not yet installed in any of these computers. So what we have to do, we need to install clients in all these computers. So either you install manually, okay, or you can push it from SCCM server. Depends on you. How would you go about it? Okay, give me 1 minute, please. Okay, I'm back. Are you able to hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so the client is not yet installed on any of the computers. So what we have to do is we need to push the client. So there are multiple methods of client push. Okay, either you push the client automatically. That means as soon as the computer comes on the network and you join it to the domain, the client will get installed automatically. So to do that kind of setting, you see, we go to site, right click on this and go to client configure site, no, sorry, client installation setting and client push installation. So I want to enable site-wide installation. That means automatically this option install config manager client on newly discovered computers. So any computer which is discovered into SCCM, automatically the client will be pushed on those computers. And the client, I want to install it on server, I want to install it on workstation, I want to install it on configuration manager servers. That means all on the computers where SCCM client is, on SCCM site server as well. So client will get installed on all kind of computers automatically. If you don't want client to get installed on servers, you remove that one. So it will not install. I want to do
So
it, so I'm gonna leave it as it is.
so if we enable this auto installation of clients, uh, by default it
Mm,
will take the default client policy, provided we don't override with any of the priority policy.
if the computer does not, if the computer belongs to that collection,
Any of the,
let's say
okay,
the,
defined collection. Okay.
yeah, then it will apply that policy where it is deployed,
Okay.
the policy deployed. Okay. So let me go back to that. Client and then client push installation. Now I would like to install the client automatically on all the computers, those which are newly discovered, and server, workstation, configuration manager, server plus domain controller. So it will install the client on all kind of computers. And you have accounts. Account is what? That means you need one account which has admin rights on the computer. Okay. You need one account which has admin rights on the computer. So by default, SCCM admin is a member of domain admin, and that is a member of that has admin rights on all the computers. So that account will be used to push the client on the computers, because client installation need admin rights. So I'm gonna say yellow icon, sorry, not existing account, yellow icon, and then new account, and browse, and SCCM admin. So this guy will be used to push the client on the computers. SCCM admin and the password. Can you enter the password, Sairam?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good. So this one is the account which will be used to push the client on the computers. So I'll click on apply and okay. So now any new computer which comes on the network and you join it to the domain and it is discovered into SCCM, there the client will get installed automatically. For example, let me show you this one. So there are two methods I'm going to show you now. For example, let me delete this Windows 10. Delete. Okay, now, so this is gone. Windows 10 is gone. Only 3 computers are there. Now, the moment Windows 10 comes back, because we have just deleted the record from here, not from Active Directory, it will come back. Windows 10 will come back automatically. The moment Windows 10 is discovered again, the client will get pushed to that computer automatically. That's what we have done. So either you wait for 5 minutes for Windows 10 to reappear, or you can rediscover computers by going to this discovery method and right click and run full discovery and say yes. What will happen? It will find out whatever the computers are there into Active Directory, and it is going to bring those systems into SCCM. Windows 10 will come in few seconds. It takes few seconds, okay? Otherwise, wait for 5 minutes for auto discovery.
So, Kasif,
See,
uh,
Windows 10 is now there. So now it is discovered. Let's consider this is a new computer and it is just now discovered into SCCM. What will happen if you go to Windows 10? The client is already pushed here. if you go to this folder, I am on Windows 10 computer, guys, C drive and Windows. You see this is started CCM setup. So this actually what happens, the client first copies a folder in the target computer, and that folder gets copied in C Windows folder, and that folder name is CCM setup. And inside CCM setup, these are the client related uh, the application files, okay, which is still, I think it's still downloading or something. So that will get downloaded, and then it will start doing the installation. And there is a task in the task manager. If you go to more details and then go to details, you will find one task, CCM setup. You see, CCM setup is the one which is running that task. And once the installation is completed, this will go away. So currently this is running this one, CCM setup, CCM setup.exe. Now if you would like to see the log file, what is happening now, you go to logs and then CCM setup.log, and right, go down till the bottom. Okay, so it is failed to install the client. You see, what does it say? Failed to get the DP locations. Okay, so it was not able to find the distribution point. Okay, that's okay. First time it happens because we just defined all the policies. It takes couple of hours for it to, get all the things, push down all the policies to push down in the computers. So it is not able to find the distribution point, and it will try again in the next 10 minutes. It will try again to install in the next 10 minutes. So that's okay. If you don't want to wait for 10 minutes for the installation, what you can do, you can go to services and you will find CCM setup service. Right click and restart. That means don't wait for 10 minutes, just go ahead and start the process again. And now let me just go back to CCM setup again. So it should start downloading all the files now. Let's see if it failed again or what. Log file, CCM setup. Make a note of this CCM setup.log. This is for the client installation log to find out whether the client is getting installed or not. It failed again, you see. Next retry in 10 minutes. And same error message, failed to get DP location. Okay, so that's okay, not a problem. Now it failed here on Windows 10 in auto deploy, auto push. Let's do one thing. Let's go to SCCM server, and for example, I'm gonna install client on these computers, right? You would like to install clients on these computers. You right click. This is the second method, and install client, and choose next, 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 and close it. So what I did, I pushed the client to these computers. Now let me show you on database server, because I pushed the client on database, domain, SCCM, PS, all computers. So I'm on database and see what is happening here on the database computer. C drive, Windows, CCM. You see it started already and looks like it has almost completed the task. You see CCM setup and continue. So it creates multiple folders: CCM setup, CCM cache, and CCM. 3 folders get created. CCM setup is the one which is the client installer folder. These are the client installers, these are client related files which are needed during the client installation. CCM setup, client MSI, this policy, and then VC redistributable and firewall. These are one by one, these things get installed. Then if you go to logs and CCM setup, that will show you the status. Go down till the bottom. You see, okay, succeeded, but it failed with error message 0084. Okay, so it is installed. The client is installed but failed. So this is basically, this error is basically for restart pending. You have to restart the computer. That's okay.
So what was the reason the auto deployment failed and the manual push happened successfully?
Auto deploy failed and manual push. Looks like multiple computers were taking this the file at the same time, right? And the IAS was not responding to Windows 10. However, it responded fine to database, and then database downloaded the file. So sometime it happens if IAS is responding to other computer, and you don't get the response, then it gets failed, and that's the reason it gives you that unable to find the DP, the distribution point. Fail to find, what was the issue? Fail to get the DP location.
Yeah.
Let's see on the domain whether it got installed or failed here too. Okay, if multiple computers are trying to get the files from the same location, so it might fail in couple of computers, and then in the next try it should get the file properly. So in domain, looks like it got installed here too successfully. If I go to CCM setup, so that is down at the bottom. It is still installing. It has not completed the installation. So the log file is C Windows CCM setup logs, which, and CCM setup. Make a note of it, CCM setup, which shows you the installation log, client installation log. Okay, whether the client is installed successfully or failed. Still installing.
So in Kasif, in scenarios where we, let's say we added multiple new subnets and the discovery has started, since we have enabled auto deployment of SCCM clients, what is the audit mechanism? Is it the only Boolean uh, of attribute which is available in the console which will tell us whether it successfully got installed or not?
Yeah, there is a report as well, which I'll show you later on, which shows you whether it is failed or installed or retry or skipped or something. There are multiple status in the report.
Oh,
You can get the report in Excel or CSV format.
okay. So because I'm just trying to correlate with one of the patching tools which I have worked on before. Uh, Once you start deploying or attaching any client, it leaves some sort of temp files there. So unless you don't clear those things off, maybe the next installation will not go well. So I'm not sure if so similar things happens here also, because
Yeah.
if
Yes.
if we are seeing in Windows 10, we got the
Mm,
folders created. There are some
mm,
partial files got placed there,
mm,
though the
mm.
installation was not successful. So the next time if we try to overwrite those things, will those files create some issues, or it just
Yeah.
overwrites and bypass all those
Some
things?
Yes, sometime it most of the time it takes override the files. Most of that is the normal behavior. But sometime if that is creating some problem, then you will have to do the clean installation. You have to delete manually those files which are already present, the partial files, delete them, do the cleanup, and then you re-push the client again. But most of the time, majority of time, you don't have to do that, okay? Because it overwrites the file.
Yeah.
Understood?
Okay.
For example, you see this one in database, it failed. As you see, if I go to CCM setup and logs and CCM setup.log, what does it say? It is down at the bottom, it's CCM setup failed. So it was performing the task and then it got failed due to some reason. Okay, so I'll either you retry again from the server, or you can just double click on this CCM setup.exe and let's see what happens. Okay, let's go to logs. It's doing something. Okay, it is checks the desktop client version and gets the installation directory. Make sure that there are no desktop client installation in the progress. It is checking whether it is already present or not. So partial files are already there and I retried manually. So it should get installed. If not, yeah, it's doing something here. See, if it does not get installed, then we will have to delete all these files, do the cleanup, and then repush the client again. But for now, I see this is going well. I don't have any error message. Copying.
If multiple missions failed means what will now, for example, in real-time location, we have thousands of computers. So how will you calculate? How will you check that it is? You need to. We not
Log
to
file.
do manual.
Yeah, we have to check the log file.
And each and every mission.
No. On the there is a sorry. On the, you have to check the report on SCCM server. Once the report is there, then what you do, you repush. Let's say out of 1,100 computers failed. So you take those computers where it is failed, right click, and then install client again. You try a couple of times, and those which has a genuine issue, they will fail. But those computer which failed due to some issue because of the file, because of multiple computers trying to access the file, so they will get in the they will get the SCCM client installed in the next try. So you have to wait for some time because it automatically retries every 10 minutes. If it fails, automatically retries in every 10 minutes.
Okay.
You see, now it is saying CCM setup is exiting with return code 0. That means successfully installed. Return code 0 means success installed. So what I did, I restarted the installation. Okay, and that got installed successfully. Previously it was failed. And then if you go back to Windows and then CCM and then logs, you will see one log file called client ID manager startup. Make a note of it. See Windows CCM logs, and the name of the file is client ID manager startup. This log is basically shows you whether the client is registered with the server or not. The installation is not sufficient. After the installation, the client has to register with the server. Then only the server and client can communicate to each other. So installation and then registration, both of them are mandatory. Registration is, yeah, it is now registered. If you double click on this client ID manager startup, where is that client ID manager startup? That will show you whether it is registered. You see what does it say? Executing registration task. So previously it was not registered. You see, it is saying client is not registered previously, but later on after 60 seconds, client is registered. Now the client will talk to the server. Okay, the client will start talking to the server now. Okay, if I go back to SCCM server and just refresh, you will see the client is installed now on all computers. Any question?
No.
Oh, Kashif, I can see that there is an icon here.
Yeah, they will
There
get
is
changed.
a
They will get changed. That's not a problem. They will,
option.
as soon as the connection establishes properly between these computers, and then after a few minutes, all will be green, just like Windows 10 and domain, they are green. So once the client gets installed, let's say Windows, I'm gonna go to domain, okay? Because domain has client is installed on domain before it installed on database and Windows 10. Once the client is installed, it also installs Software Center. Plus, it creates one client icon in control panel. So in every computer, you will find a client here in configuration manager. You see, this is the one. Let me just right click and create shortcut on the desktop so that I don't have to come to the control panel. The client is present in every computer in control panel. You see assigned management point. The management point is this. Client is communicating to communicating on self-signed certificate intranet. This is the site code. This is the GUID of the client. This is the version. And if you go to action, these are certain actions which you can run, which I'll show you later on. So that's the client which is showing present in the control panel, plus the agent, the software center. This is software center, but you see the policy hasn't arrived yet. The logo of the company is not coming here because it takes few seconds, few minutes for the policy to get applied. Either you wait for few minutes or the policy will get applied automatically if you run this machine policy. Machine policy is what? I am basically asking the client to talk to the server and bring the new policy, whatever present on the server. So this software center will change according to the what we have given. You see the policy applied now. It takes few seconds, the policy. Now the Burger King, whatever the icon we have given, that's coming. Okay, clear, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, so Pramesh and Iqbal, you have to perform the same task and make sure you are on the same page. I'll send you one URL. You have to go through that. That's a Microsoft website article for client setting. You can read and understand all the policies in the client setting. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Any question before we wrap it up?
It's good.
Okay, thank you. Bye, guys. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.